issues like poverty by creating solutions to these challenges.
Consumer actually really influence. For instance, let's take, for instance, Dangote as a company, as a case study. One of the CSR that is common in Dangote investments, one is rehabilitation of roads nearby to the company. So there are some local, the host community, the consumers that live in such environments, having seen the impact of Dangote in alleviating suffering in the area, because when Dangote, for instance, now rehabilitation some of these roads is a form of CSR. So it also drives consumers. They feel that Dangote feels concerned for them because they are living, they are consumers that directly, the impact of Dangote will definitely influence the consumers in that area.
However, not everyone agrees that CSR directly addresses global challenges. They believe that it is used as a tool to enhance their image and reputation. Also, that companies with strong CSR commitments stand out from others because customers prefer their products or services. Meanwhile, they encourage companies to be more environmentally friendly.
Brings communities closer, makes those corporate organizations more known, and as a result, you project your own, not only the image but the brand of that corporate organization.
The success of CSR in reaching its intended audience depends on how clear and genuine a company's initiatives are. Although larger corporations tend to take the lead in CSR efforts, there is a growing expectation for businesses of all sizes to give back to society. Grace Komolafe, Souq News.
How much respect do you command when you carry the Nigerian passport? How many places has it given you access to? The Nigerian passport has become a subject of interest and curiosity, sparking discussion about the image it portrays for the nation's economy and its citizens. A recent report by the Hailing Passport Index highlights its global ranking on the positive aspects and the potential of improvements.
Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, faces a significant challenge with its passport ranking, which has been steadily declining over the past decade. According to the Hailing Passport Index, the Nigerian passport is currently considered one of the weakest in the world and ranks as the 5th worst among African countries. This is despite Nigeria's economic prominence, as the passport holds the 90th position globally and offers visa-free access to only 46 out of 227 destinations.
The ranking is just to confirm what we have always known. The ranking is expected. Yes, it is sad, it is bad. If you travel to any country, even with all your documentation, they will still subject you to scrutiny, because the level of fraud and the level of lack of integrity in the country. Yes, it's bad and it's sad, and we just hope things will turn around.
Of Africa, so for you to put them as the least, then even other African countries that are even looking up to Nigerians have their visas and the list are higher than Nigerians. So I feel so discouraged for saying Nigeria as the least. A country as a giant of Africa, that these people, that they are talented, and if we want to look at African country, you group Nigeria as number one because they have the business side, they have the population. So I feel so down with it. I feel so discouraged with that upgradement.
Like it's something I've gotten so accustomed to, in the sense that it's just like something that happens, like you just get used to it happening. So because I've traveled a couple of times, and I've had to use a visa every time, and over time it's just it's something you get used to.
This development was of utmost concern to a number of our respondents, especially given the country's reputation as a giant of Africa. Many emphasized negative impact on travel opportunities and the urgent need for the government to take action in improving and strengthening the value of the green passports.
Well, from my own point of view, I learned the passport itself, isn't printed here in Nigeria. I don't know if I'm right. It isn't printed here in Nigeria. Had it been we have an agency that can be printing our passports here, then it will be cheaper. For us to get the passport will be cheaper. When you go to the official website, you will see that, okay, there, 5 years, 32 pages is like maybe 25,000. But when you go to the passport office, you'll be getting it for like maybe 65, 70,000. So the government, I don't know, they need to improve.
What our government can do is that to strengthen our economy. Let us have reason that we don't give, they should give us a good reason that we don't need to travel outside to survive anymore. That we can survive here in our country by then giving us a better future and a better economy here in Nigeria. So they should give us a reason that, for example, now if people in Dubai don't have any reason to go to abroad, to go to America to survive because they have a good economy. But here we don't have a good economy. So a Ghanaian will not come to Nigeria to come and hustle to survive because they know that their own economy is better than our economy here in Nigeria.
I feel like it definitely makes it more expensive when you like take into consideration visa fees. You know, different like countries have their different like fees, different amounts. It's also like more like stress in a sense, like it's more stressful. So it definitely discourages, you know, the average like person from wanting to travel, unless you really need to. Unless it's like, okay, I have to go there, then you're willing to like do all that. But yeah,
The submission from some of them underscore the need for the Nigerian government
Welcome to Business Insights, your go-to platform for the latest global business news. I am Olaoluwa Awe, and today we've got a lot to cover from various industries worldwide. You know, our goal is to give you valuable insights that can help you make smart decisions, whether you're an entrepreneur or an investor. So let's dive straight into the business news update, where knowledge meets opportunities. Let's get straight to that. This is the business news update on Business Insight. I am Olaoluwa Awe. President Bola Tinubu has announced a plan to boost the manufacturing sector with 75 billion naira between July 2023 and March 2024. During a national broadcast yesterday, he said the aim is to help the sector overcome the challenges caused by the removal of petrol subsidies. The plan involves funding at least 75 enterprises to promote economic growth, structural transformation, and increased productivity. Each manufacturing enterprise will have access to 1 billion naira in credit with favorable interest rates and repayment terms. President Tinubu also signed executive orders to address fiscal policies and multiple taxes that hinder businesses, providing support for the manufacturing sector to thrive and expand. Away from that, Nigerian banks are reportedly struggling to meet the demand for personal travel allowances (PTA) due to a scarcity of dollars, forcing many customers to turn to the black market for forex. The limited supply of forex is believed to be the cause, and is caused by factors such as Nigerian youth seeking opportunities abroad, selling off assets, and middle-class Nigerians converting their income into dollars for their children studying abroad. The acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Folasodun Shonubi, acknowledged that the forex volatility is due to the limited supply and hopes to reduce it once the supply issues are addressed. Last week, the parallel market rate skyrocketed to as low as 870 naira per dollar, while the official rate remained at 775 naira to a dollar, with a growing demand pressure widening the gap between the official and parallel market rates, raising concerns about forex stability. Broad exchange operators are currently excluded from the official forex market, and some experts believe that this exclusion contributes to the volatility seen in the parallel market because it puts immense pressure on meeting the high demand for forex, leading to fluctuations in the parallel market rate. As a result, these operators are calling on the Central Bank of Nigeria to reconsider their exclusion and reintegrate them into the formal forex market to help stabilize the forex market and reduce volatility. In the financial sector, Nigerian banking institutions are showing impressive growth and positive performances in the first half of 2023. Jay's Bank PLC reported a significant increase in profits before tax, reaching 6.6 billion naira, while Eco Transnational saw a remarkable 41% growth in interest income, reaching 445.9 billion naira. Axamanzad experienced a whopping 597% surge in pre-tax profits, amounting to 12.8 billion naira during the second quarter. Despite some challenges in non-life income, the company's overall performance was boosted by notable increases in net premium income and net investment income. These banks' strong financial standings were attributed to various factors, including diversified business models, effective money management, and commitment to customer service. The positive results were also boosted by supportive infrastructure projects in Nigeria, further contributing to their growth in total assets, deposits, and shareholders' funds. With solid performances and innovative strategies, these financial institutions are poised for continued success and positive contributions to the country's economy. Three Nigerian cement producing companies face challenges with high cost of sales and foreign exchange losses, resulting in a marginal 2.5% increase in profit to 277.7 billion naira in the first half of 2023 compared to 270.88 billion naira in the first half of 2022. Dangote Cement, Lafarge Africa and BUS Cement reported increased cost of sales and operating expenses, impacting profit before tax and profit after tax. But despite the business environment's challenges, infrastructure projects like rail and roads by the government and demand for housing infrastructure by the private sector supported cement producers in the half of 2023. Lafarge Africa's Chief Executive Officer, Lulu Alade Akinyemi, expressed confidence in market recovery and commitment to sustainability and innovation. Away from Nigeria, Elon Musk, the owner of X, formerly known as Twitter, and Chief Executive Linda Yaccarino will now lead the trust and safety team at the company. Musk will be in charge of the product and engineering team, while Yaccarino will oversee other divisions like human resources, legal, finance, sales, and operations. The trust and safety team is responsible for content moderation on the platform, but it has faced criticism since Musk acquired the company last October. Some researchers say X has been too lenient with harmful posts. However, the company claims that most of the content is healthy. To improve safety, Yaccarino mentioned in an email to ex-employees that they are looking for a new leader for brand safety and suitability after the previous head of brand safety, AJ Brown, recently left the company. 3 ex-leaders will also be overseeing different aspects of trust and safety, including law enforcement operations and threat disruptions. Vehicle-making company Ford says it is taking back over 870,000 of its F-150 trucks due to a potential issue with the electronic parking brake. The brake could engage unexpectedly even when the vehicle is in motion, leading to a loss of control and potential crashes. The recall applies to certain 2021 to 2023 model year F-150 trucks with single-pipe exhaust systems, and Ford will start sending out recall notices to owners in September. The problem is said to be caused by a wiring harness rubbing against the rear axle housing, which wears away the insulating material on the wires. Corrosion on the axle housing can worsen the issue, but Ford will fix the problem for free by installing a protective tie strap and tape wrap to the wiring harness and replacing it if necessary. The company began investigating the issue after receiving complaints about unintended parking brake application in 2021 model year trucks. While there have been 299 cases of the parking brake activating unintentionally, no accidents or injuries have been reported due to this problem. International airlines are experiencing significant profits this year, mainly due to strong demand for leisure travel and major events like the World Cup. For instance, International Airlines Group, which includes Aer Lingus and British Airways, reported a reported profit of about $1.4 billion for the first half of the year. They are aiming to return to pre-pandemic capacity by the end of the year. Air France KLM Group also saw a revenue increase of almost $1 billion in the second quarter, reaching over $8 billion. They are optimistic about the future, especially with the upcoming 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games in France. Similarly, Qatar Airways reported a profit of $1.2 billion for the past fiscal year, crediting its success to the FIFA World Cup held in December. Qatar invested heavily in developing infrastructure to host the international tournament, and it turned out to be a great success with over 3 million first-round tournament ticket sales. Yellow Corps, a long-standing trucking company in the United States, has ended operations, resulting in the layoff of all its 30,000 workers. Headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee, the company, which operated nationally with over 300 terminals and employees spread across the country, was engaged in a battle with the Teamsters Union over pension and health insurance contributions. The union had previously threatened to go on strike, but canceled, giving the company an extra month to make the required payment. However, last week, the company stopped picking up freight and only make deliveries of existing freight. Despite avoiding a strike, the union and Yellow Corps couldn't reach a new contract agreement. The company's massive debt load, more than the union contract's cost, played a significant role in its shutdown. Similarly, America's oldest craft brewer with 127 years in business, Anchor Brewing, closed its tap rooms for good on Sunday, causing loyal fans to form a long line outside the San Francisco-based brewery, hoping for one last pint. The brewery's parent company, Sapporo USA, announced the closure a few weeks ago due to economic challenges and declining sales since 2016. There is hope for the brand's future, as about 24 investors and a group of Anchor's employees have expressed interest in buying all or parts of the brewery. Anchor's assets, including its tap rooms and recipes, are being turned over to liquidators this week for a possible auction. The company remains optimistic that an investor or group will continue the legacy for future generations. And that's the end of the news stories. And that's the end of the news stories. Let's start with the first news on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX, where a total of 459 million shares traded in 8,051 deals, amounting to a market value of 5.3 billion naira compared to trading day of the previous week. The 10% decline in trading volume but improvement in turnover. The capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange stands at 1 trillion naira in total. 100 is participated in trading, resulting in 20 and 38 losers. Current valuations led the gainers with a 10% share at 0.66 naira per share. 8.91% owned and Regency Alliance Insurance, a Guinness Nigeria recorded the biggest loss share price, settling at 6.10%. John Hall's 9.178%. In terms of actively traded stock, with a vote followed by Japan Gold and Venture, Last trading on the Ugandan Security Exchange, a total of 87,799 shares were traded, amounting to a market value of 4 million Ugandan shillings. The current market capitalization of the Uganda Securities Exchange stands at 17.3 trillion Ugandan shillings. And moving away from the United States Stock Exchange, the Dow Jones Index, also known as DJI, 35,500 points on the last trading day, 28 points, which is about half a increase from the previous day. The Russell's 2080 closed at 2008. It increased by 14.75% higher. The Russell 2000 index, the stock tracks the performance of 2,000 small cap and the U.S. stock exchange. European stocks, the DAX 40 in performance of 40 major companies, closed trading at 16,000 as at the last trading day. It increased 0.09% higher. And lastly, in stocks, the FT index that tracks the performance of the London Stock Exchange in the United 214.90 points, 20.63 points, which is about compared to the previous day's closing. When the FTSE 100 goes up, it indicates that the stock prices of these 100 companies have increased, and when it goes down, it means that their stock prices have decreased. From stocks, we move to the commodities markets. As at the present, the price of gold stands at $1,967.59 per troy ounce, while silver is valued at $24.75 per troy ounce. In the energy sector, Brent crude is being traded for $85.47 per barrel, which could mean a slight increase in the price of petroleum products like petrol at the local filling stations worldwide. This indicates a significant price surge of over 20% if compared with the price as at the start of 2023, when Brent crude was trading for about $78 per barrel. Now, turning our attention to the agricultural commodities, cocoa is currently priced at 3,453.54 British pounds per ton, and wheat is quoted at $264.7 per ton. On the other hand, the currency market has experienced significant fluctuations as at the start of the week, starting with the Naira to dollar rates. As at yesterday, the dollar opened at 776.74 Naira and saw a slight upward trend, closing at 775.76 Naira per dollar. Moving on to the value of the euro in Naira. Presently, the euro is valued at 849.66 Naira. And to acquire a British pound, it will cost 989.17 Naira, which is an improvement. Finally, against the Japanese yen, the Naira is currently standing at 5.41 Naira, while against the United Arab Emirates, the exchange rate is 209.30 Naira. And that concludes the market update. I am Ola Oluwawe. Coming up next is a valuable analysis on some of the stories for your business endeavors. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Business Insight and Souq News. I am Olaoluwa Awe, and this time we're going to be analyzing some of the major stories or the developments in the business world. And joining me to do that today is Mr. Jimo Latif. Good morning, Mr. Jimo Latif.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. It's nice to see you once again on Business Insight. I must say it's been a while. Hope business is good.
Well, very good.
Yes, Ahmed Jayola is also our in-house analyst. He joins me for analysis today. Welcome, Ahmed.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm always about your initial smile at the beginning of the program.
I don't know why you're always like this.
Now, let's start with the national broadcast yesterday. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu announced that the administration plans to boost the manufacturing sector with about 75 billion naira. What potential impact do you foresee, in the Nigerian economy? What impact do you think this will make? 75 billion naira, which I think a company getting as much as $1 billion naira, to boost business.
I think.
Let's start with Ahmed.
I think, without guessing, it's obviously going to make jobs available. Without asking any questions, it's going to improve the quality of products, the quality of delivery that is coming from these companies. You are definitely going to see a better improvement. You see, every economy, as long as you are within a financial economy, is driven by the manufacturing sector. If the manufacturing sector is not well funded, if it is not well structured, if it's not delivering well, then the economy is not going to grow well. You're going to have issues of financial issues, employment, being able to sustain jobs, quality of production, meeting demands. There are so many issues that you're going to be encountering.
Yes, Mr. Jimo Latif, what do you make of that 75 billion naira for the manufacturing sector?
Thank you for having me. But before I start with, I want to look at the way the president has been able to address Nigeria yesterday. It was a plausible, because the last government doesn't want to speak to us. And if you look at the tone in which he was trying to, it's a comforting, it's a soothing statement that people that even know there has been an agitation that the effect of subsidy removal is on us. So people are agitating that this thing is, and the way he comes, he actually comes like a true leader. And that's the one I want to take away from that. He's been able to tell us that he's a leader because the way he comforts us, he knows that the thing is pushing us and try to give us some olive oil in terms of what we should expect. Anyway, this is expected anyway. The hardship that comes, that I said, there's always, from the dark to there's always the light or whatever. He made that statement yesterday that we should expect something good. And the analysts have been projected that, okay, for the first, maybe the next 2 quarters may be a bit hard, but we expect things to ease up at the first quarter of next year. Meanwhile, it's trying to make things that, okay, even if it's hard, we give them palliative, but palliative will not be income. It may not be only in money, in terms of other palliative, something that will relieve the hardship within the community, in terms of giving the manufacturers some, then giving bosses to alleviate the effect of and a lot of things he has said. He said a lot of things, but if you look at what I just want to take away from this statement, that the government, I think, is a listening government, and is been able to exhibit some kind of a true leadership. Kind of, if you compare with the former regime, the man hardly talked to us. But he came, he spoke, and people take it away. There's something to take away. In fact, let me now go to your the effect of manufacturing. Like I said, it's a market-driven. The market. If you look at our economy, we need something to. The manufacturing sector is another thing entirely. They drove, they're part of mechanism that drove economic, because it's not only one. You have other agricultural, but at least if you look at, because that's one that turned the primary source raw material to another level. And if like you said, you're going to create job, no doubt. Because a massive, huge investment in that area, and we look at that huge investment, it's going to translate to a lot of things, not about only job. It translates a lot of things in terms of, you look at the inclusion. You can see the inclusion. It carries everybody along. And if you look at where he has actually touched, in terms of giving them. And if you look at the money that even let's even limit ourselves to the money give to the manufacturer. By the time they start manufacturing things that a lot of you see that the importation. In fact, the importation may be a thing of the past if we actually get it right. Because manufacturers, in fact, we are importing that we're able to produce a lot of things in Nigeria. Like innocent is there. If you can just innocent alone can face this motor vehicle or whatever, it's a very welcome idea.
I understand that. Yes, let me just put this to you before you get to say what you want to say. I understand that this action is in a bid to reduce the hardship of the petrol subsidy for core manufacturers, for business owners in this sector. How exactly will this alleviate the hardship?
Okay.
In what particular way?
So the core manufacturers are not the focus. The people that are going to enjoy what the manufacturers are doing are the focus, right? So the economy suffers a lot of blows. One of the blows is foreign exchange. One of the blows is production. One of the blows is exportation. One of the blows is fake products in the economy, and so many other issues that are tied around demand, supply, availability of goods and products and services. Then you now have the ability to also refine raw materials to be able to produce finished goods. All these come together to influence both fiscal and monetary policy, because you can only have monetary policy when you have money to decide on. You can only have fiscal policy when you have an economy to run. So giving 70 billion to the manufacturers. 75 billion. Number one, when you have better products being produced in Nigeria, imagine how many things we can export. Now, when you export, imagine what that will do on our balance of trade. Then, if our balance of trade improves, imagine what that will do to our dollar. Now, imagine that our dollar has stabilized to the point where, well, let's not be too imaginative and say that Naira and dollar are going to become 1-to-1. But imagine just going to maybe like 100 Naira per dollar, which is a miracle, right? At 100 Naira per dollar, the minimum wage of 30,000 Naira will suddenly become millions of Naira. Because just having 30,000 Naira at 100 Naira per dollar, imagine how many things the common man can buy.
Okay, so let me get to you, Mr. Latif here. One of the main reasons for asking the question is that if you have heard from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria in recent times, they've complained majorly about three things: multiple taxation. So the main things affecting their business as it is now: multiple taxation, the price of fuel, diesel, petrol to run generators. That is when there is no electricity for them to use to power their equipment. Then you talk about multiple taxation. You talk about that. Then you talk about forex. Because a good number of their raw materials are gotten from outside of the country. Those are the three main issues. But how does 75 billion naira exactly solve these problems?
Good, fantastic. I'm going to look at it from the point of aggregate demand and aggregate supply. He has just mentioned something very germane here. Like the effect is a kind of turnaround effect in terms of it's going to have effect. You mentioned something like go to the manufacturers. They talk about is it a multiple taxation? Number one, I guess, a multiple taxation is a function of the government. If government, because there have been no structured. It's part of the fiscal policy set. It must try to harmonize our tax. That was in recent time. I think Joint Tax Board trying to merge federal revenue with state revenue to have an harmonized tax regime, so that instead of you taxing this, let's tax and share it among ourselves, which is one of the way to go. And then all other, like the tax and other small stupid tax that we pay to them is part of taxation anyway. It has effect on the cost of production.
Yes. But I think you are beginning to get my points, because when a good number of times when governments say they want to give palliatives, or I don't know, I don't like to use that word, but that's the common word used now. they throw money around. They give 5,000 naira cash transfers, and people complain that is that the solution to the problem? The problems are known, you know. So trying to alleviate poverty or try to create wealth or to boost an economy, some analysts would say it's not just about throwing money around or giving money to business owners. It's about addressing the real issues. And that's why, you see, how does 75 billion naira address the issue of multiple taxation?
Okay, so, sorry, sir. Let me quickly butt in here. The most contended issue from Nigeria's history is diversification. We've been dependent on oil for ages. Now, we have raw materials. These raw materials are the key things that the foreigners come in for. Yes, humans are also part of raw materials because, you know, you have a high, youth population, which is very, very important for them. Now, when you look at the mineral resources, when you look at the human resources, and the way the foreigners are coming and attracting these things, 75 billion can change the trajectory. All you have to do is to invest some part of this in the so-called generation of raw materials. It's not that one company will come from outside the country and then be generating the raw materials and take it to their land. You have the raw materials that you have generated here, and you have this, you know, okay, let's go back to oil. Oil that is, you know, gotten from our own ground here, when you sell the crude, the amount of products that come from the oil is way much more than PMS, diesel, and all that. Now, we are importing all these products, and we are selling at a single value digit for oil. Now, how do you explain we being the ones giving you the oil, and we are giving you at, let's not even use the dollar value. Let's look at it from...
Let me support what I said. I'm going to look at from the front of a factor of production and conversion value. The factor of production mentioned in terms of human resources, clinical available. But what I'm saying now is that the cost of conversion, what you touched, which is the taking things out of at a very low cost, very high cost. Meanwhile, the other value added that have been taken away from those. And if we are, like you said, we have intermediate product, like intermediate primary product that we can harness. Like for instance, let's take off Nigerian breweries. We have something that's been taken from Nigeria, in terms of barley or whatever,
barley,
produce, which eventually run into malt. Because after fermenting, they take the alcohol out of it, the remaining is used for the malt because less alcohol. How this, we call it backward integration. If this thing we were able to distill or try to look at this thing and try to find out that, okay, if I invest in it, instead of, like for instance, they took like Halal Nigeria import toothpicks. I remember when I was young, in Jabba, I used to stop my brother, they love big, call it tick stick. They used to, I don't know why this is value that being transported. But now, if manufacturers are able to do this thing, using our own, we're saving money from the local source, instead of getting it from outside, we are back integrating what we have, then taking it out, we hand foreign reserve, like it says. And tax aspects, you are asking how does the multiple tax, like I told you, you don't have any power over tax. It's a fiscal policy of government. All they need to do is to look at, okay, part of the incentive we want to give to these people is to make sure the tax haven is not beyond that. We now take over. One of the investors want to invest in, you want to invest in your country, you want to look at your fiscal environment. If your fiscal environment is not that conducive, they will not invest.
And I'm very, very, aware that the government has even put in place new tax policies to address this multiple taxation.
These are part of the fiscal instrument that government, apart from cyclical, when we have fiscal instrument that government used to control economy. Apart, we have monetary policy, we have fiscal policy, we have a lot of policies. Another policy that I'm talking about fiscal policy to make sure the manufacturer is able to, okay, I can get my money back. In terms of whatever I want, okay, this is my rate of return. I want to yield, okay, I place my money here. At the end of the year, I want to make sure I yield 10% of it. I get my 10% out without hurting the economy. But when the tax is becoming too much, it erodes this part of return that I'm going to have. Because like I was mentioned, the main directors that come in time of the touts, the buses, the trailers are coming, you see them stopping, taking thousands of money from them. Who am I going to record that on? Going to be on the cost of production.
Thank you very much.
These are part of the factors that make the prices of things high, because I'm not for Christmas. I'm a businessman into you, and I have a minimum amount I want to return for my investment. So that's the thing the man will look at and make sure. But the area of fiscal formulation, effective one, is a function of government and not man.
So if we agree that this plan of the president or of the Tinubu administration is all-encompassing in a way, you know, it gives answers to a good number of the questions the manufacturers have been asking. When is the right time for us to see these things playing out? I mean, the 75 billion naira, as of now, it's just an announcement. So, but what time frame are we giving the government to begin to implement this? Promises.
So the biggest mistake we usually make is we start putting certain things to timelines. Okay. It doesn't mean the government doesn't have a timeline in mind. But the moment you are like, okay, so when are we going to start seeing the result? The result is in years. It's not in months. It's not in weeks. It's in years. When they disburse, these people have to, first of all, buy facility. If they want to import it, they have to import it. It takes about 3 months to ship anything in now, right? Especially when it comes to machinery. Now, you are going to spend 3 months bringing the machinery. You are going to spend maybe another 2-3 months, you know, installing the machinery. Then you are going to have access to the raw materials that you want to use for the products, and so on and so forth. So we are already, just by sitting down here, we have estimated 1 year already. The president has already spent how many months? And added to 1 year, everybody starts saying, okay, so where's the effect of the 75 million? No, you can't expect it now. Everybody has to be patient. It's a process. The only thing is the modus operandi. Okay, what are the mode of operation? What exactly is the trajectory that is written down? Because everybody has to understand, okay, so this is how we want to do it. Okay? Because it is one thing for you to say you are giving people money. It's another thing for you to know how they are going to spend it. Because nobody is going to come and call me now and say, okay, so government is giving you 1-point-something billion. What exactly am I going to use the 1-point-something billion for? That needs to be explained too.
Okay, let me be a bit diverse from your line of thinking, sir. You know, every business has its own model. There's a business model for every company. And even if I'm sure before the government decide to dispose us huge money to manufacture, that what we call the critical need of because you have to put that, okay, what are those critical things? And it depends on the business model. The conversion period is not what I'm investing. Anybody will write, okay, I'm placing this, how long will it take me? There's nothing bad. I'm giving a project of 6 months.
Okay.
I'm expecting things to, at least, if not, at least let me start saying things. I would say people are giving this, because it's not in terms of only manufacture, other palliative that are going on. It's not. So we are expecting, because there are a lot of things that are on pipeline. In fact, I was very surprised when did not mention about the refinery being resuscitated. I was like, but and ask a question. Okay, maybe the man is trying to run away from the refinery because he doesn't want to give it to the private. He want to sell it. Maybe want to sell it off. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the refineries.
I understand the government
so
also has
the government
a stake in
sentiment there is understandable. People are saying, hey, it's supposed to have refining. No, it's not easy refining. We're talking of things that can easily convert. You know, we have we want something a short cycle period production. So
because this whole idea of it's supposed to be an intervention, like an immediate intervention.
Intervening in terms of management doesn't mean that not all of them will go and buy machine, because some of them have what they're doing initially.
Okay.
What they want to do was to that money will help them. Maybe in sourcing more. It's not everybody that will, but they're not. We're not talking in terms of a new company that's coming up that need to issue a letter of credit to import,
buy assets all over again.
We're talking of an existing company that is already having it has a production line. All we need to do is to amplify what it's doing in terms of maybe to improve. Manufacturing could be in terms of agriculture. We call it manufacturing, but they're manufacturing too.
Okay, so if we understand you, Mr. Latif, if this is done well, in 6 months we should begin to see results.
We are expecting the first quarter of next year. First quarter of next year, I mean that by March.
Okay.
Report. Because one thing is this. a serious government, to me, will look at what is obtainable in the system. It's not as if we are starting. We are not starting. We just need somebody to put us on the right track to start generating money. And that's what, because we've been wasting money in terms of misuse of country resources. All this, we need to make sure that we try to galvanize all of them together to be able to use it for productive purposes for the country. But to me, I think 6 months, I'm not saying we start seeing the total effect of it, at least.
We should start seeing improvements.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Nigerian banks who are struggling to meet their demand for personal travel allowances, PTA, due to the forex scarcity. What factors do you think are contributing to this scarcities, and how do you think it's going to impact the country's financial stability? Let's start with you, Mr. Latif.
It's a simple, straightforward question. We floated dollars for foreign currency. Let it determine the price. If you don't have enough, we'll bridge the gap, demand and supply. So in terms of people that are traveling, whatever, I'm not even looking at traveling stuff. It's people that have money that want to travel down. I'm looking in terms of the people that invest in the company. How do they repatriate back their money? I will have more. And because of the shortfall, the banking have a problem of bridging that gap. Because what will have made us have more in terms of what we've been able to put in reserve to strengthen our currency. We don't have it. So all this will bring out an arbitrage that people trade for money, because that's what you see in float now. I think about 860 something or 870 something, the dollar now to naira. So people are afraid. Where we go? People are even projecting that are going to get to 1,000 plus. I don't know about that. But allow the free trade inter mechanism. Free, let demand and supply determine the price. That's all I'm after. If based on what, if you're an import dependent company, we'll suffer it. Because we're going to produce to buffer that effect.
Now, Ahmed, let's get to you now. One of the reasons for the volatility in the forex market today, as mentioned by some analysts, is the fact that the black marketers were not brought into the whole process in the first place. And even the broader change operators of Nigeria are calling on the CBN to involve them, that there might be one or two things they will be able to do to stabilize things in the foreign exchange market. Do you agree with that?
To a very large extent, when you say bringing in the BDCs into the foreign exchange market conversation is one of the reasons why we are having this challenge. To a very large extent, I really don't think that is true. And the reason I don't think it is true is because when a country has a fiscal policy, all right, a monetary policy, and that monetary policy is already hosting the conversation between supply of dollars, demand for dollars, and provision of the, of the currency required, then you now ask the question, okay, so if the BDCs are involved, are you not bringing in, are you not trying to dine with the devil? Because the BDCs are the reason a lot of scarcity is happening in, in the industry in the first place. They are the ones that hold this money, and then they sell it at higher prices. Now, aside that, of course, there are other factors that are involved, but the truth of the matter is, the FX is actually reacting to the market forces, right?
Let me support.
Yeah.
Let me support. There's something I'm sorry. Let me just support.
Yes, please.
If you talk about the free interplay, talk about the black market. I'm not going to go. They're not BDCs. BDCs are registered. The black market, they provide an intervention where there's a shortfall. In recent time, that I think about 3 or 4 days ago, they call for CBN, they call for CBN audit or something. These are issues. There are ways, because of the loopholes in the law, there are ways this thing get to the black market. This law, it's not everything is market dependent. There are a lot of things, like time of a global receipt from somebody, maybe somebody that repatriates money to Nigeria. It's a part of intervention to bring the. But now, what is happening? What is playing out? The demand for the foreign exchange is lesser. Let's use dollar for instance. It's lesser than the supply. the supply is highly very low, and people that can
Or the
bring
supply is lesser
the
than
supply
the
is
demand.
lesser than
so
the
Yeah.
meanwhile,
demand, yes.
what is going to happen? They're going to be too much and fighting for one, so
Yes.
the price will go up. That's a simple price mechanism. Now the question was, okay, to bridge this gap, talking about the change, those are two because they have the stock of the dollars. They will not intervene, but intervene in the sense that going to be an arbitrage.
Exactly.
They take money from it exorbitantly, and those are the and they are not easily killed. You can't easily kill them because these are powerful people that they understand the markets. So understand is that, but in this situation, government just need to regulate that businesses more. Although as far they cannot kill them, that's the sure, because they provide buffer.
I would like to add to that. So regulating BDCs, I do believe the government announcing that they are going to allow a free market, okay, to a very large extent, also has the inclusion of BDCs in it where it's going to have less regulation, all right? Even though there will be some form of regulation, there will be less regulation on their operations and because they are part of the market forces, right? The only issue is, okay, so you have a lot of Nigerians. You have the Japa people that are looking for dollars. You have those who are schooling abroad that are looking for dollars. You have manufacturers that are looking for dollars. You have everybody looking for dollars. When everyone is looking for dollars and there's very little dollar in circulation, the price of dollar will go up. That's what market forces determine. So if less people are looking for dollars and there is dollar supply in the market, the prices of dollars go down. That's the rule of demand and supply. So saying that there is dollar scarcity because of one thing or another, if BDCs have come into play, as far as I'm concerned, those are sentiments. And the reason they are sentiments is because they don't even fall within the rules and regulations of what's supposed to happen when you have a free market.
Now, to wrap up this conversation, the acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Folashodu Shonubi, acknowledged that the forex volatility is due to the limited supply. And he said that the CBN will intervene once the supply issues are addressed. What do you expect the CBN to do in this point?
First of all, how would they are they want to regulate the supply of the forex?
Are they going to?
I don't know. I'm trying
How?
to think, how would they be able to intervene?
Yes.
Maybe they're going to regulate some aspect of the limit, the way the importance of that particular currency, what you need. Not everybody will go there because I tell you, some people are taking it and keeping it and selling it. Maybe you're going to do a kind of a control that will not allow anybody just to go and miss. They use that they can go to embassy, get a visa, go to get some BTA, keep it, sell it. They're not going anywhere. A lot of things have been happening in this country that we see. But what I'm saying is the government cannot emphatically say it's going to regulate this. If you have allowed yourself to be ruled by free market forces, what are you regulating? The best thing is to make sure you earn enough foreign reserve to be able to combat this volatility. But agreed, in some area, we have some dollar that's in this economy is not small, but some people are still keeping it.
I think joining to that, we need to also understand that there are a lot of people in Nigeria presently that are being paid in dollars.
Okay.
Now, when you are in a country and you are being paid in foreign currency, you are part of the problem.
That's another very good angle.
Yes. You're a part of the problem. Because we need to source for dollars to pay you.
Why can't they convert it to naira?
Why can't we pay you in naira? You are here. You are locally.
Some people pay school fees in dollars.
In dollars.
In pounds.
Here in Nigeria. You can't travel to America.
All this has a way of affecting your currency.
What do you call it, value.
I agree with you totally. But what I'm saying now is that these are areas that I think the other mind at the apex, whatever, the banks now say, okay, we'll look at others. Maybe there are other things they are looking at. But to me, I'm trying to look at what CBN can do to regulate it, except for the control.
I think, like you have said, what I think would be the solution, potential solution, is first, when you say that you are going to intervene in limited dollar supply, Intervening in limited dollar supply means you are either increasing the amount of
The
supply.
burden, so you're even increasing burden.
Okay? And if you increase the amount of dollar supply, you are naturally going to affect the value of your naira. Now, if you increase that, then I wonder where you are going to get that from.
Can I ask you a question? How would they increase the dollar supply?
And that's what I just said.
Because I don't know.
How do you increase it without getting...
No, where you want... I want to see which money are you going to use to
exactly, to increase it.
Hopefully we'll see. We'll see what will happen in the coming days. Now, let's quickly move to the foreign scene, where a good number of companies in the United States are they are winding up, they're closing down. For example, Yellow Core, a long-standing trucking company in the U.S., ended operations, just laying off about 30,000 workers. And, this is a sign of economic challenges, within the country. How could companies facing economic challenges better position themselves for survival in a competitive market like the United States?
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence?
Technology. We are in the age, one thing is to understand that if US is a control economy, and they are very, very understand. Most of in fact, they develop a lot of market in terms of this thing. But if, for instance, you said about the trucking company, maybe probably every country is hearing it. It's like this war in Ukraine and
Russia.
And Russia is affecting it, but it depends on if that particular sector want to move. Like for instance, let me give you a scenario of this Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. What I'm saying is that look at the way the guy has been able to diversify, modify his business line, because you can't stand on and still be looking for. You have to move on. Improving technology. Look at things beyond the vacant niche. Because I'm just thinking, because the business cycle is changing in every facet of it, I like it or not, every part of the world. So you have to move with the tides.
One of the reasons for this company closing up is because of the debt load. I think the company has incurred a whole lot of debt over the years, and then workers want better pay and all of, they've not been able to, find a way to balance this and all of that. Another main company, Anchor Brewing, a company, America's oldest, craft brewer, also had to shut down. What does this really say about the beer market or the market in the US?
So it's not so much about the beer market. Both companies are basically shutting down because of loan challenges, right? So the trucking company during the pandemic got a loan, and the beer company also got a loan, but I'm not sure it's about that same time. But their inability to meet up to the loans that they have collected is naturally the reason that they are shutting down. But beyond that, when you are in the US and you get a loan and you're having difficulties meeting up the loan and the economy can't hold you up, okay? There are some organizations or companies in America that if you are facing such situations, you apply for bankruptcy, right? And the government now decides, okay, are you valuable? Are you not valuable? If the government says that you're valuable, if you apply for bankruptcy, they'll probably find a way to, shore you up or prep you up or look for a way to, just turn the company around if they have to.
What? Let me quickly, sorry, let me just interject a little bit.
Yes, please.
You see, in terms of the debt profile of a company, it's not a new thing. It depends on how deep thinking the company is.
How creative.
Exactly. Any company can be in debt. We've seen a very big debt company that become prosperous now. Yeah, it's bad because when you mention something like the government, even if you want to, it's only a creditor can wind you up. A creditor can wind you up.
Yes, true.
All they need to go to court that you are holding me this and this. And remember, it depends when you are winding up, when you want to go back or whatever. It depends on the kind of the charge you have. Maybe you pledge some certain thing that's very damning to your production.
Yeah.
Maybe they told you loan you tied to certain things that are very damning to your production. If you can't pay, okay, I'm going to sell this off. May affect it. But as I said, I really want to read more into the case, because what the debt profile wouldn't have been so much. Who is managing the debt profile? What is the structure of that debt profile, the balance sheet, that make them just want to, because if I'm owing you, I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to pay you back. But what I'm saying, I can reclassify your loan. There's a lot of debt conversion, whatever you can do. I'm still thinking, I want to know, get more insight to that particular case to be able to give my own clear opinion. But for now, it's very short, because the critical loan from a COVID-19, what was the duration of the loan? What are the term and condition of the COVID loan?
But some of these companies now are looking up to investors to save them, to save the day, hopefully. But knowing the profile of this company, America's oldest craft brewer, we're talking about one of the biggest trucking company in the U.S. You know, are these companies that you think investors should dive into?
They know the law of, in terms of truck and logistics, let's put it logistics. The lot of people don't go for logistics taking truck anymore.
Yeah.
That was the AI is taking more, like an employee, you know what, I mean, America is doing a lot of, an employee cannot hold the company to ransom, even if you hold them. They only have a program of how those loans, maybe the loan that we're talking about has to be the staff loan that, I mean, the amount they owe to the employee, that part of the loan that we're talking about.
Now, as we wrap up, a good number of international airlines have made a lot of money from, you know, from the World Cup, you know, from Olympics. Another one is coming in France, you know, and how can companies sustain the success beyond events like this?
Well, except they want to be organizing more World Cups and more. You see, there are seasonal successes. Okay, it's not going to happen all the time. This is just an effect, you know, one of those seasonal profits, let me put it that way. Now, when you have this kind of boom, let me put it that way, the wisdom of the financial manager then comes to play. Are you going to say because there is a boom, you increase the amount of dividend you are paying investors, or you increase the amount of money you are spending on this or that? No, the boom is going to go down. What happens when the boom goes down?
Thank you very much for that insight. As we wrap up the show, Mr. Jimola.
Yes. I believe entertainment owns the world now. The entertainment, and I believe part of where this seasonal event comes in terms of entertainment, advertising, and all those things, and terms of sign off or whatever. So because all we need to do, this has a way of stabilizing countries, allowing countries to cohabitate, and that's why people are keen into that particular. So you can see all the Coca-Cola of this world in those days. Anybody can sign on it, and this, you know, we're talking about millions of dollars that comes. So this is where they make their money, and all they need to do is to intensify effort to make sure that that notion, that vision is not in any way encumbered, and that is where
they should continue to strategize around sporting events, entertainment events.
It allows the world to go in the right direction. People, I can look at you from another angle. You're from China, from Nigeria, meet together. This is a good competition.
I think
my final word would be improving tourism.
Okay,
as soon as tourism is improved, you're definitely going to have more flights and so many other profits for the.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Jayola, for your time on Business Insight today. And Jimola Latif, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And that wraps up the program. I am Olaoluwa Awe. Thank you all for watching. Let's do this again tomorrow, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock on Souq News. Bye for now.